For 2022, Apple brought in the third generation iPhone SE to the market, 2 years after the last version. The entry-level iPhone differentiates itself from the newer iPhone models by offering Touch ID fingerprint sensor support and a quite dated design. Focusing instead on the internal performance and giving us a modern processor, is this still the affordable iPhone to buy, or should you swerve past it and head straight to the iPhone 13 mini? I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and this is our review. And while you're here, if you do like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any more of our videos. The iPhone SE 3rd generation retains the same design as its predecessor, as well as the iPhone 8 from 2017, with the only difference really being tougher glass, which you can't really see. It's the same glass that's on the iPhone 13 mini. There's aerospace-grade 7000 series aluminium frame sandwiched between two glass panels, but rather than squared-off edges like you'll find in the iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 models, the iPhone SE features the same rounded edges we've come to know and love from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 8. It's a solid design and one that has stood the test of time and will no doubt continue to. The problem is that in 2022, as a new device, it does feel dated. Don't get us wrong, it still works and it's lovely and light, and with the rounded edges it's nice to hold too. But we wanted a little more from the iPhone SE for 2022, even if it was just the inclusion of MagSafe. The use of space, we feel, isn't as clever on this older design compared to something like the iPhone 13 mini. You'll see, despite having a larger display, the mini is considerably more portable and compact. The Touch ID home button, which still works brilliantly, sits at the bottom of the display, while there is a large bezel at the top too, housing the front camera and speaker. On the rear there's a single camera, with the volume rocker positioned on the left edge with a silence toggle and the power button situated on the right. Now, for those considering the iPhone SE 2022 model as an upgrade from their iPhone 6, 7 or 8, it is familiar, and that's not always a bad thing. It's also IP67 water and dust resistant, which the iPhone 6 wasn't. So that's a bonus if you're upgrading from those. But if you wanted something new and fresh, the iPhone SE is definitely new. It's just not very fresh in terms of design, it just has tougher glass. Now, moving on to the display, and the iPhone SE has a 4.7-inch Retina HD display, which is the same that was offered on the iPhone SE last time. It's a good display, and despite being LCD rather than OLED like the 13 models, it is punchy with vibrant colours and fairly deep blacks. The 1334 by 750 pixel resolution delivers crisp detail too, so really there isn't a great deal to complain about. It even offers decent brightness at a maximum of 625 nits, even in bright conditions. For those moving from an iPhone 6, 7 or 8, the screen will be familiar, like the design overall. There's True Tone technology on the SE, along with haptic touch, both of which are useful features. True Tone adjusts the white balance on the screen, while haptic touch enables quick access to features by pressing a little longer. The only thing we would say about the iPhone SE's otherwise great display is that the iPhone 13 and 12 mini both offer larger, brighter and punchier displays in a smaller footprint, so they are worth considering if your budget allows for them. You get an extra 0.7 inches of screen real estate with the iPhone mini devices too, and there is something to be said for that, mainly that everything feels a bit less squashed. The iPhone 13 models also have an OLED panel, and they are HDR compatible. In the iPhone SE's defense though, unless you have experienced the larger, fuller display size, or you put the devices side by side, you won't miss it or really notice it. So what the iPhone SE offers will be more than sufficient for most looking to upgrade. Now, it's undoubtedly in the performance that the iPhone SE's greatest strength lies, because it's been given a new chip. This uses the A15 Bionic chipset and neural engine under its hood. So the iPhone SE is a speedy little device and excellent in this department. It's the same as the chip that's in the iPhone 13 models, which are top of the pile. We experienced zero lag during our review time, with it seamlessly switching between apps and handling games without any issues. So again, for those upgrading from those older models with the same design, the smooth running of this device will no doubt be noticeable compared to those, not just in gaming but everyday tasks as well. Plus, it allows for features like live text and on-screen dictation, but there are benefits when it comes to photography too, but more on that in a minute. The A15 Bionic hardware also means the SE is also 5G capable. marking one of the biggest attributes of this device and opening the door to faster connection speeds. Now, in terms of the competition at this price point, you'll find larger screens, more up-to-date designs, and more cameras on other mid-range devices, like the Samsung Galaxy A series, for example. But while they may have 5G, they don't run flagship core hardware like the iPhone SE. Now, moving on to the camera. And it's not just in day-to-day performance that the A15 chip is good for. It enables the iPhone SE to offer a range of camera features that you won't find on the older iPhone SE second generation. Despite offering a single 12-megapixel main camera on the rear with f-stop 1.8 aperture like the iPhone SE from 2 years ago, the newer model has features like deep fusion and photographic styles and smart HDR4 on board. It also offers portrait mode with depth control. What you don't get, however, is night mode, which is quite a big omission for a device from 2022. There is extended dynamic range for video recording, but no cinematic video like the 13 series models. Now, overall, the iPhone SE 3rd Gen offers very good results. No, it doesn't have 3 lenses on the rear or even 2, but Apple has always nailed the processing, allowing you to be able to point and shoot with most models and get a decent shot without much effort. In good lighting conditions, there's plenty of detail in shots from the rear camera and good distinction with a good representation of colour and an overall balanced shot. Low light results are acceptable, though the iPhone SE doesn't match the 13 models here, requiring more light than the 13 for the same shot. The 7-megapixel front camera is solid too, offering decent selfies in good lighting conditions. Again, the lack of night mode means that low-light selfies don't match the results you'll get from the 13 series. It's a clear weakness of this device. Now, when it comes to battery life, it offers up pretty much what Apple promises, and that's between about 13 and 15 hours of usage, which for a device this small isn't terrible. Keep in mind that we've been testing various elements of the device, which always puts the battery under a bit more pressure than regular use. So there's a good chance you may get longer out of it, depending on what you use it for. As an example, on one of our test days, we took the iPhone SE 3rd generation off charge just before 8 AM, and we were at 25% by 8 PM. This was with several hours of testing the camera in the morning, playing games, running numerous apps, taking calls, and having multiple notifications coming through from emails, WhatsApp, and social media. So for a small device, the iPhone does a good job, even when it comes to battery life. And it will likely last longer than an older iPhone too, so it's a solid upgrade. In the end, as a verdict, the iPhone SE for 2022 is something of a tricky one for us. There is no doubt that it's a very powerful device, and in terms of performance, it is excellent. You also get 5G and a number of features from the iPhone 13 models, making it compelling as an upgrade model for those on a lower budget. Where we find ourselves a bit more conflicted is that the design and display haven't really moved on in 5 years. While there will be some who will like the familiarity when upgrading, we would have liked to see just a few more changes in this 3rd Gen SE model to freshen it up a bit, even if this was just the inclusion of MagSafe or a slight reduction to the bezels. If you can afford to stretch your budget to the iPhone 13 mini, we'd recommend it over the iPhone SE any day of the week, but as an entry-level iPhone, the 3rd generation SE is a solid performer and a good upgrade option. You're just going to have to look past the aging design. But if that doesn't bother you, then neither will using the new iPhone SE. I've been Cam. I'm at Cam Bunton on social media. If you want to get hold of me, you can do. If you did like this video, please do leave a thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.